Eventually they're going to get the message, and we're going to turn and get out of this sort of dark path of everybody trying to one-up themselves and one-up their neighbor about how much religion they can discriminate against.
The symbols of Christmas and Hanukkah are being banned from public display. Well, we hear about that every year, but what's different this time is the ban is being extended to virtual workspaces. Translation? That includes spaces that show up in Zoom calls, even from your home. The First Liberty Institute is fighting back, and we're joined now by the General Counsel, Hiram Sasser. This is just secularism, government, bureaucracy, war on Christmas gone crazy, has it not?
Yeah, look, it's very wild that the King County decided that they wanted to so quadruple down on their Grinch spirit that they would ban religious displays. And it didn't matter if it's nativity, menorah, whatever, ban any kind of religious displays from your virtual workspaces so that when you're working from home, if someone can see a Christmas tree over your shoulder or a menorah over your shoulder in the background, that's a violation of their policies for their employees. It's very outrageous.
Well, even the Grinch's heart grew 3 times that day, if you remember that. I don't see their heart growing at all in something like this. The First Amendment has got to be at play here, clearly, and maybe even the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because these are government employees, the First Amendment applies and provides protection. What I find fascinating about this is that we just had this case, the Coach Kennedy case against the Bremerton School District. Bremerton, Washington is just across the Puget Sound from Seattle. And it's like they didn't get the memo that the Supreme Court has already ruled on this, that you cannot censor employees based upon their private religious speech. And that's exactly what this policy is doing. And then, of course, also the Civil Rights Act of 1964 provides the same level of protection for any employee against their employer who's trying to discriminate against them based upon their faith.
So take me through this. I mean, Human Resources and the county attorney, what were they thinking in something like this? Did they ever think that this would hold up? I mean, even if it's won on a local level, when this is on appeal, it certainly will be defeated, correct?
Well, I mean, I would hope so. I mean, maybe they looked over their Coach Kennedy case and said, well, it took them 7 years of plowing through the federal court there in Washington and then up to the Ninth Circuit before they finally got to the Supreme Court and were able to win our case. Maybe they just figure the odds are in their favor. I don't know. Maybe there's a contest in the office of who can just be to the left of the next person. They're like, no. We're going to ban it from the virtual workspace. No. We're going to we'll ban the Dharma wheel too. I mean, we're just going to go all in, and that's what they did. You got to admire the fact that it's an equal opportunity anti-religious faith policy.
I see your menorah and I raise you a Christmas tree, right? That's what they're doing back there. Where do you think that nationally we're going? This movement, Philadelphia, for instance, just banned the term Christmas tree. It's now a holiday tree with their lighting. Little by little, they are chipping away at freedom of religion. And where do you see this going? Where's the arc of this going? Will it be corrected, or are we going into a dangerous spot?
Well, we're going into it. They're headed to a dead end. The Supreme Court just ruled this summer in our case, Coach Kennedy versus Bremerton School District, 6-3, that everybody can have their religious faith in their public life just as much as anybody else, and that there is no reason at all for the government to go on this censorship mission of any kind of religious speech, and that the rule really is we're going to accommodate public expressions of religion. We're not going to censor them. And so I think eventually they're going to get the message, and we're going to turn and get out of this sort of dark path of everybody trying to one-up themselves and one-up their neighbor about how much religion they can discriminate against. I think the Supreme Court has charted our path and lit the lighthouse, and we're sailing out into open water.
Remember, it's freedom of religion, not from religion, and that's the distinguishing factor. Things like a nativity scene in the public square, that's gotten a lot of attention, fighting back and forth. Where is the line? What have the courts, what have they said? Like, what's the balance here?
Well, up until just this summer, we had a 50-year precedent called Lemon versus Kurtzman that made it very difficult for cities and counties to be able to have like a nativity scene or a menorah or any kind of religious acknowledgement in their public spaces. But after our Coach Kennedy case, they overturned Lemon versus Kurtzman. And now the rule is really simple. Have we been doing this historically and part of tradition in our country? If so, then we can continue on. And certainly nativity scenes, menorahs in some communities and other communities have other religious items. Those can be displayed in public, free from censorship, and they don't have to worry about those kinds of court cases anymore like you would see back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
So this isn't necessarily a war on Christmas, which is definitely happening. It's more an attack on religion per se, correct?
Well, that's right. You know, look, the far left, they don't want there to be any kind of allegiance to anything greater than the state. I mean, I taught a religious liberty class at Ovidius University in Romania about 12 years ago. And when I said that your rights pre-exist government, like the Declaration of Independence, we are endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. Those rights come before government. They thought the rights came from government. They thought what I was saying was absolutely radical. But in any kind of leftist utopia, nothing can be greater than the state. No one can have any allegiance to something greater than the state. So any religious faith acknowledgement of that is acknowledging that the state is not the all-powerful entity. And as a result, you know, the leftists they typically, like the old Soviet Union, they don't like anybody expressing religion or not. But luckily, the Supreme Court saved us from that dystopian future.
Victoria Cobb is joining us now. She's the president of the Family Foundation, a group whose members were denied service at a Virginia restaurant by a restaurant manager who said that her presence made the staff feel uncomfortable or unsafe. We call that clear religious discrimination. Welcome to Centerpoint, Victoria. So give us the background on this. It was at the Metzger Bar and Bakery in Richmond. And what happened? You had a reservation to go. What did they say?
Yeah, we were bringing a small group of our supporters, and we had made a reservation about 2 weeks out in a private room at Metzger's. And about an hour and a half before our guests would have arrived, we got a phone call from one of the owners, and they said, one of our wait staff looked you up and determined that our wait staff refused to serve you.
What was your reaction? Are you like, what?
Yeah, it's a little shocking. I don't think we've ever experienced this and expected to experience this. So after the shock wore off, we were able to pivot to another restaurant, but it begs a larger question of why would you refuse to serve us? He said some of the members were LGBTQ on their team and were uncomfortable. And then they issued a statement that described us as, quote, unsafe, which was alarming.
So I guess, you know, when you make a reservation now, you have to fill out a background check. Why did you decide to take it to the next step and say, this is not acceptable, instead of just saying, the heck with it, I'm never going back there again?
Yeah, Metzger displayed irrational fear of people who simply hold different beliefs, different viewpoints. That if you look us up on our website at familyfoundation.org, yes, you're going to find that we take positions on traditional family. We take positions on life. And those are the things that they specifically mentioned. And you're going to find that our viewpoints are indistinguishable from our faith, that they are based on our religion. And so we think it's important to really draw this out and help people understand, because Americans don't want to believe that they're going to show up at a restaurant and there's a religious or political litmus test occurring to decide whether they can come in.
Well, just imagine an African-American family or a priest going in and they're throwing them out because they refuse to serve them. I mean, isn't this somewhat similar? Shouldn't people think of it in that kind of way?
Yeah, this is about who we are. This is about our faith. This wasn't about something specific we were asking the restaurant to do or make for us or be a part of. This was, we don't want to be in the same room with these kinds of people. And it's incredibly concerning. And it should be, even to people who don't agree with us on the viewpoints that we have. We want to know that we live in a place that doesn't make prejudgments or have prejudice against people of faith.
Let me read you Section 2.2 of the Code of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Office of Civil Rights. ... Provide equal opportunities throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia to all its citizens, regardless of race, color, religion. So the question is, should the Attorney General, the new Republican elected Attorney General, Jason Miyares, take this issue up on your behalf?
Well, he certainly has that option. And certainly we want to make sure that when there is religious discrimination, that folks are, held responsible. We also have our own legal center, Founding Freedoms Law Center, so we could, consider that as a possibility. And those options are on the table. I think it's really, number one, most important that people know this about Metzgers in particular, because we don't want other people experiencing this. And just in general, that we make it clear that this is a bad business model, that discrimination is uncalled for and it is harmful to our society. And we want to make sure that other businesses don't think this is okay. And that's why we spoke out.
Who's the owner of Metzgers?
Well, there's several owners actually, and they own several restaurants in Richmond. And so, the one that's been highlighted is there's a celebrity chef involved that's part of the ownership. But there are actually several owners and there are several restaurants. So people need to be aware that there are people making judgments rather than cater to a wait staff that had this kind of prejudice. Leadership really should have taken the opportunity to encourage them that this isn't the way we treat people, this isn't the way we view people, and that they should have given us an opportunity to be charitable, kind, and to leave a gracious tip, which is what we would have done if we had come that evening.
In the final 30 seconds, where is the balance between free speech and religion, so the First Amendment, and anti-discrimination laws, civil rights laws that were passed in all 50 states?
Yeah, it's a really important balance because we want to ensure that people don't discriminate against others based on who they are. But we also do want to protect people who would be compelled to, for example, speak a message they don't agree with. So we would never have asked Metzgers to be a part of our event, to engage in our discourse. And in the same way, we wouldn't expect, for example, Jack Phillips, the baker, that's the one that people tend to bring out. We wouldn't expect him to be a part of a same-sex marriage when he has a religious objection. He can't have to use his artistic ability, which is considered creative speech by our courts, in a way that he doesn't believe in. So there is a fine balance, and it's important that we do our best to distinguish and really clarify these lines because we want America to be a place that's free and that also protects religious freedom.
And Colorado is going after Jack Phillips again. Victoria, thank you so much, and good luck as this case proceeds.